remind you of something? If you've worked in dentistry or seen a tooth after they pulled it and it had a missing crown or some bad cavities, that's kind of what this looks like. So I'm using a Dremel here. I'm working everything dry with a respirator on and just trying to demonstrate that on this side of the stone there's some color in there, but it's crystal all the way down to the bottom, and in the bottom of that stone there were clouds of inclusions, sand inclusions and things like that. So I'm just working my way through this area here to relieve that inclusion down inside of there and get to the crystal itself. That way I can make a free form out of this or something like that. Polish everything, get the sharp edges off, and use some Nova tips, get down in there and clean that up, and then just leave this raw out here. Just deburr it. It's got a lot of color in it. The potch line's really good. Plenty of color up in here, so it'll make a really nice three-dimensional piece for sure. Sorry for the noise. You can see how deep that goes too. It takes a while, but it's worth it. Once all the sand is out, everything's cleaned up a little bit, get it trimmed and I can hand polish it. Some places will be dull towards the back here, but that's alright. But this is mostly just to create like a nice organic piece here. And it could be for display or wear. When I work pieces like this out of willow, I do grind dry, and I wear the proper PPE in order to accomplish that without putting myself at risk for silicosis. It's an extremely dangerous lung dysfunction caused by breathing in particles of rock dust and even metal dust. I'm a welder by trade, so I'm familiar with cadmium and manganese, and those have similar effects as well. So I am using the safest precautions I can in order to work this stone dry. I don't want to get it wet with all these inclusions in here, because the expansion rate of the stone when it absorbs water, because it is hydrophane, can cause it to crack if it has clay or sand inclusions in it. So I want to get as much of that out and take the risk of doing a lot of work, and then before I polish the stone and do final on it, I will soak it in water and I will let it absorb as much water as it can, and then I will let it dry for a couple weeks slowly. And with any luck, I didn't miss anything that would cause a crack to form. And if it comes back with its color and it doesn't have any cracks in it, then I can go ahead and do final shaping and polish. It takes time with pieces like this because I'm going to leave all these little cavities in here. All I'm doing is just cleaning out the dirt. But that dirt, when it's compacted inside the stone like that, if it gets wet, it concretes. stone swells and the sand concretes, and it doesn't allow the stone to expand from absorption, and then the stone can crack. So you can carve opal by hand. Takes a lot of patience. So does cutting opal, but I think it's worth it if you get a small piece and you're not sure if you're going to get anything out of it on the lapidary. Don't give up. Australian opals, you can do all this wet because they are non-hydrophane. They don't absorb water. So that's the only reason I'm doing this dry, is because Wello is a hydrophane opal. But I'm going to continue on with this and kind of show you how everything looks when I've got this all cleaned out. But you can see right now, just one giant cavity in there. And it's pretty cool because I can actually get some polish in there, and I can use certain round bits, Nova bits, and things like that, and I can actually polish the inside of that once I get that sand out. So we'll move forward and kind of catch up on our next step here. Thanks for watching. Okay, so we've gotten all the sand pits out, a little bit of staining in there, so it's like a hollow form. The color bar, or the bar of color that the stone is on the outside perimeter, and then this is the crystal face. So what I'm going to do is leave the crystal face concaved, and I'm going to polish the edges and polish slightly up the back a little bit, and I'll start at 600 and move my way through. This is going to be a cool one. Well, there she is. Turned out really pretty. Actually got that pretty much 50% color in there. There's the face. And it's mostly just color on the side there. And then the other half is crystal. Crystal opal. A little bit of fiery flash in there. What I did discover though is when I started polishing, I saw all these little inclusions, these crack inclusions. And I'm not sure if that happened while I was cutting or starting on the actual wheels. I believe they were already in there, and I just couldn't see them because of the rough cut of the Dremel bits. But you can see all those cracks in there. And they've got mud and crap like that in there, but that's okay. Something like this I just keep in my collection. Something to kind of mess around with on a rainy day. But sorry about the condition of my fingernails. Got all that dirt in them from cutting rocks and whatnot. But it's cool. It's almost like a tiny opal fruit bowl. But it's got some great color in it. Flashes of purple, green, orange, yellow, red. Clarity's pretty good. But it's specifically, you know, this isn't something you want to sell. This is something you want to keep for yourself. Something fun to practice with. And carving opal can be really rewarding. I knew this piece would be very, very challenging, so I decided to carve it rather than just burn it on a wheel, because you can see what kind of loss that would have resulted in. So at least we got something out of it to look at. Very, very pretty. Thanks for watching.